It's a very exciting day. Usually when I'm invited to do one of these speeches, I usually like to open the room by just giving people a little bit of a gift. All right? So I've come with a few of my books. Who wants a gift? All right? Okay, I'll stop from here. Okay, all right. So I just give a. Okay. Oh, I actually focused on one group.
I know, right?
One side, that's, okay, I'll find a solution to that. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for that fantastic introduction. Now, just before I get started, just wanted to ask a question. Who here in the room, when you hear the word entrepreneurship, think about instant success? Great. That means I have a very, very informed room. Because usually, the word entrepreneurship, in the world of business that we have today, when people think about entrepreneurship, the one thing that comes to the mind is that I'm going to become an entrepreneur, I'm going to work for myself, and I'm going to be happily ever after. Because I'm going to be wealthy instantly. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years. But entrepreneurial is a journey. To some of us, we will become very successful. Maybe if we work hard enough within the first 5 years. Some of us would become successful within the very first 10 years. Some of us would become successful within the very first 15 years. And some of us may never become successful being an entrepreneur. But that's just a very harsh and hard truth. Does that make sense? But being an entrepreneur is in association with one of the greatest words I have come across, which is resilience. Be ready at all times. So resilience and what? Be ready at all times. Now, having kind of just give you guys a little bit of the journey as an entrepreneur. My name is Dr. Darren Moses, who you rightly introduced. I'm a first generational immigrant. I immigrated from Nigeria just around about 20 years ago. I came to this country, no mother, no brother, no sister, no aunties, nobody, basically. I came to this country in search of one thing, a better life. In Africa, where I come from, one of the biggest words used to associate with this is called in search of greener pasture. And when I came in 20 years ago, success was far-fetched, very, very far. You know, because first of all, though I try to speak like a little bit, I've got the British accent now, but I never had an accent. In fact, when I pronounced a few words 20 years ago, you barely could understand what I was saying. You know, and for 20 years, I went through that transition. I've always wanted to be a successful entrepreneur. But one of the things I didn't have the opportunity to do in that journey, just like most of you in the room are students, correct? Am I right? So when I was a student, I wasn't told that entrepreneurial journey takes time. I was told entrepreneur means instant success. You buy, you sell, you make some money, and you're happy ever after. Nobody talked about building it. So when I came into this country, I had the same mindset, thinking, the moment I start buying and I start selling, I'm gonna make it. But I went through a 13 years of transformation in the UK to eventually started to see the limelight just over the last 8 years, having been on the entrepreneurial journey for at least a minimum, if I can still remember now, should be around about 20, over the last 20 to 22 years of my journey. Though I don't look that old, all right? But I don't. People say that all the time. But I have been through that journey of almost, or at least 22 years of being an entrepreneur. Now, when it comes to entrepreneurship, one of the things I want to really echo very, very, very much is that entrepreneurial success starts with at least 70% of your mindset. Did you hear what I just said? So you must become an entrepreneur that will be successful first in your mind. Because everything that you ever wanted begins from your mind. So 70% of that has to be first created. And then 20% of strategy and planning. And then once you got the both together, 70% and the 20%, then you've got 10% of action. But growing up as an entrepreneur, I was taught the opposite, which meant I needed to take 80% of action, probably 5% strategy. Absolutely. And that was what I was taught. So as we begin in this journey of entrepreneurship, I want you guys to understand something very importantly, that it first begins from your mind. As an entrepreneur, you need 70% to cleanse up what you have in your mind, in your brains, all right? Not focusing on the instant success, but focusing on the growth that you're going as a journey. And having been through this phase myself, just over the last 8 years, I can actually look back to say, you know what, I've done well. Because between the last 8 years to now, to present, for over 13 years of hard work, not having direction, not knowing what I was doing, not having mentorship, not having the ability to be in rooms like this for the first 13 years or probably more, what changed for me was to start coming to rooms like this, finding mentors, finding entrepreneurs who were already working in where I wanted to work. And that allowed me in the past 8 years to transition successfully into the property entrepreneurship, which allowed me to build a company called Property Wealth Corporation. And within the Property Wealth Corporation organization, it has multiple entities, which begins from property management, property acquisitions, wealth creation, and as well as educating entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs like yourself. And I'll tell you something. I look back in my journey specifically over the last 8 years, and specifically between the 8 years, about 4 years of it, being able to inspire at least 1,000 entrepreneurs, whether for those who are just getting started or for those who are already entrepreneurs that wanted to scale their businesses. It's been very inspirational personally to myself, not to those who I'm actually inspiring. And I'll give you a simple case study of a young 16-year-old boy who's old enough to be my son, because my first son is 16 years old. And recently I gave him a scholarship to come and work for me. And I said, the best skill I can give to you was not money. The best skill I can give to you was entrepreneurship experience. Because these are things you're not going to learn in school. The experience of being an entrepreneur. So which means you're going to have the bad days, you're going to see life in your face, and you're going to have the good days where it's all happening. And this individual, his name is Dean. I'm allowed to mention his name because he's told me to. And I've been working with this very young entrepreneur, and in the last few months he's doing amazing, well, learning about the property strategies that I do in terms of acquisitions, management, and other creative strategies that I teach other people to do as well. And another case scenario is a 60-year-old lady who thought, I'm past my age, can I actually become a property entrepreneur? And I've worked with this lady over the last 3 years, and I've been able to take her from zero to about £1 million in net worth within the space of 3 years. So, on a nutshell, whilst I know I've got a very short time to speak, about 10 minutes or so, one of the things I want to leave you with is that no matter where you are, whether you're on your starting phase, or whether you are already, maybe you think, most people these days, when you pass the age of 60, they're already waiting to die. Who here agrees with that? All right? When people pass the age of 60, most people are saying, I've spent half of my life now, why do I need to do that? So for Maxine, who is a lady I worked with over the last 3 years, and took her from where she thought she could never become a property entrepreneur and build a property business, putting cash flow in a bank account, to owning properties worth at least £1 million, to many other case studies I've been able to work with. I want you to take one thing away from this. It is absolutely possible. But first, you've got to go back to the basics, and the basics is success as an entrepreneur begins with 70% of your mind being completely focused with clarity, 20% of planning and strategy, and 10% of action. And these can only be achieved by finding people who sparks the interest of the actual industry that you're looking for. So is it entrepreneurship in media? Is it entrepreneurship in marketing? Is it entrepreneurship in real estate? Whatever that looks like, find someone who's already walked the walk. Combine your academical knowledge and as well as the practical side of being an entrepreneur, and let them guide you, teach you, train you, and mentor you, and then give yourself time to grow. So I think I would end my speech at that point, and I'm open to any sort of question. I'm happy to take a few, and probably I'll be coming back later for a little bit of an interview. So thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions? All right.
Okay, well, thank you.
First of all, it was a very inspirational speech you gave, and it was very insightful too. My question is, from the start of when you started up until now, like you said, you're a very, I would say, in my eyes, successful entrepreneur. From the start, did you see yourself get to where you are now, or was it more hard work? Thank you so much. Was it more just dedication throughout the whole journey, or did you see yourself being able to become where you are right now?
So, good question, by the way. What's your name? Rayhan. So, when I started my journey as an entrepreneur over 22 years ago, especially 2 years into that journey, coming to a country like the UK, where I didn't understand how to get support, where I didn't understand how to get network, and the list goes on, it wasn't clear that I would become this successful. But as I navigated the 20 years journey, one thing made sense. For 20 years, or for the first 13 years, something was happening, which is called the compounding interest. I wasn't successful for the first 13 years. I was making mistakes and I was learning, but I was accumulating compounding interest, compounding profit on experience, which today has played a key role in my life. So, although sometimes in our lives, as you begin this journey, you think you don't have clarity, you don't know what you're doing, but somehow you're actually learning something, but you need to be very, very conscious about your experience. All right? It's not that you're not getting somewhere. You are getting somewhere, but you might not see come to fruition yet, but you're actually learning something. You're getting good experiences that will come and pay you in the future. So, it was very challenging because I didn't have this environment that you have today, okay? And on the other hand as well, as a black individual in this country, all right, I already had a lot of limiting beliefs that to become successful as a black property entrepreneur or as a black business entrepreneur, it was not possible at all. So I had a lot of limiting beliefs, hence why I basically stated that to become successful, it begins with your mindset, and you have to dominate that mindset with at least 70%, all right, of total clarity, which allows you to become the greatest version of success that you want to become, which enables you to have complete clarity. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Dr. Daniel Moses, for an amazing speech. I was also going to ask, in regards to the 70% of the mindset, what would you say are the things that have helped you build the resilient mindset that you have now? What are some of the things that people can do in a room to actually focus on increasing or building their mindset up?
I think one of the biggest is failing. In 2015, I lost a business in Africa and I lost over £150,000. And when I lost that money, I thought that was the biggest success I had. At that time, that was the biggest success I had. So losing over £150,000 in 2015, imagine what was going through my mind. How am I going to ever make it again? So I was already married. I've been married for 18 years now. So there was a lot of trouble at home for losing money, and as well as for focusing on the marriage, the kids, and everything else. So, but one of the things I did not realize was failing in 2015 was building me to build a 8-figure business today. So as of 2015, I never thought I would ever be able to own assets in millions. If you actually told me, I would tell you to shut your mouth straight away. But today, looking back, I think that tested my highest resilience level. So success is not built through success. Success is built through failures. The more you fail, the more success you can become. But the ability to use your success as your biggest strength is what we're talking about here, because most people don't know how to fail forward, because most people fail to fail backward. So for me, if you read one of my books, The Test, I share cases of me failing forward rather than me failing backward. But in 2015, I never thought I would build this again. So resilience and being able to understand I was going through a journey was what helped me continue to become the greatest version of myself.
Thank you so much, man.
Hello, Dr. Moses. It's facing familiar, and it clicked for me when you mentioned the 2015 incident. I think you shared the story on social media.
Yeah.
About the petroleum. Right. Okay. Nice to meet you in person. I learned a lot from that. So my question today is, how did you get that support you needed? Because is it correct to say you didn't do this by yourself?
It's correct to say I didn't do it by myself. Yes. Number one, I did it with God. And number two, I did it with my children. And I did it with my wife, because they were the only one that saw me through those dark moments. Those dark moments where I wanted to take my own life. Those dark moments where I thought the world was shut against me, because I had leveraged in terms of raising finances. So that was part of people's money. All right? If I lose your £1,000 right now, and I come to you and say I lost your £1,000, first of all, the look in your face will probably determine the action. And we're talking about a third world country where I'm from, in Nigeria. When you lose people's money, you can either be killed. You're not going to go to court. All right? It's not the UK. It's a jungle justice. It is the truth. It's a jungle justice system. So you owe me money, you don't pay me? Okay, no problem. And that's one part. The other part was, I went through depression. I was going through a lot of anxiety. How did I pick myself up? Well, I actually came to a point, I shared that one of my books, I actually came to a point where I quitted being an entrepreneur. I actually said, you know what, I've been doing this now up till like almost half of my life. I've been doing this at 2015, 2016 now. I'm going to park it, I'm going to become an Uber driver. So I actually started driving Uber. So first of all, imagine what's going through my head. I had built a business that I thought was successful, to the tune of 150,000. Then all of a sudden it's gone away. And now I'm driving Uber 18 hours minimum a day. So every single day, I'm seeing myself as a really big failure. But something keeps pushing me. Don't worry, it's fine. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. So my faith as well in God says, though weeping may last for a night, but joy definitely comes in the morning. So I held on to that word, and I just kept holding on to that word. Though I'm tearful now, but joy comes in the morning. Though I'm tearful now, joy comes in the morning. So the church, which is first the word of God, because that's where I had the word of God from. And then the second thing was believing that it was only for a moment. So even though my wife, my kids, everybody around me, I couldn't do what I used to do for them, but joy comes in the morning. Joy comes in the morning. So I was a very, very courageous. So when I was able to regain myself from that situation, I was able to, when the opportunity of getting into property entrepreneurship presented itself to me, so I said, is this the joy that I'm saying is going to come in the morning? And I said, well, even though this has been very challenging, maybe let me try. So I tested it again with a maximum risk. The day I actually began my property entrepreneurship, I only had a credit card with Vanquish with £150, £70 balance. I took a leap of faith to just spend it to come to a room like this. All right, and that was when, my entire paradigm shifted again, that actually what is inside of you cannot die, can only become awake again. So at that point in my life again, I said, you know what, let me test again. But this time, I'm not going to, like an African country, let me try doing this again. So I started going to different conferences, which allowed me to get myself back into what I am enjoying today.
Thank you.
Hey, hi.
Got one in the back.
Hello, thank you for your speech. It was very insightful and inspiring. A question I have is, how do you remain grounded in your entrepreneurship journey? So,
Say that again?
how do you remain grounded in your entrepreneurship journey? Because of course you would have times of success, times of failure, and obviously the failure is difficult, but would the fear of failure like keep you grounded to keep going, maintain your mindset in terms of entrepreneurship, and what advice would you give to maintain it?
So I love that question, similar to the question he asked as well. So I think entrepreneurs just first of all, you need to understand that you've been an entrepreneur, you are going to be tested to your maximum level. And I've been a business coach for a while now, and as well as property coach for a while now, at least 4 years I've been in that space. One of the things I teach a lot of my students is that you are going to be tested first before you're going to have something good to say. So if you're a Christian just like me, without a test, there is no testimony. All right? I think in my observation in the entrepreneurial space, especially for startups, the mindset is always, I'm going to start my own business and I'm going to be successful. And then, obviously, this is why you have a lot of entrepreneurs going through depression. The highest level of depression is in the entrepreneurial space because of what you go through. Because as an entrepreneur, first of all, the mindset is you're trying to create your own economy. All right? You're trying to create something that doesn't exist to bring it to the market for people to buy into it. Or you're trying to offer a service, or you're trying to deliver a service. So you're either offering, you're delivering, you're creating something that doesn't exist, or something that's already existed, which you got as an idea from someone else to make better for yourself, to create an income for yourself. So, in as much as you're going to create this beautiful product, the chances are you're going to try 10 times, and it might not work. So, the question to yourself is, am I willing to try the 11th time? If the 10 times is not working, am I willing to try the 11th time? So just look at me, for example. I always wanted to take my own life in 2015 for £150,000. Can you just imagine that? Do you know how many people right now have lost £10,000 and actually feeling, oh, I'm going to quit, I'm going to go and end my own life? But when actually what is in front of you was £1 million business, £1 billion business. But because you're actually going through a situation right now, not realizing that that is your test. So the advice I would give is to find entrepreneurs who have failed and failed and failed so they can help you fail quicker. Yes. Because you need to keep failing quickly. The quicker you fail, the more resilience you build. Don't look for success, look for problems. Because it is in your problems, there lies your solution. It is in your problem, there lies your success. And I'm a very, very, very case study of that. Over the last 4 years alone, I raised over 1.5 million from social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. These are people's money that's invested into my property transactions. But in 2015, it was £150,000 we're talking about. Do you see the gap? So learn to fail quicker so you can build a resilience level. Find mentors. Very important. Before 2015, I did have mentors. In fact, I went to school, I studied sociology and anthropology, but I didn't believe in it. The word mentorship felt like interesting. So find yourself a mentor that will help you fail quicker. All right? I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to leave the rest of the questions to the end of the discussion. However, we do have the networking session as well, so please feel free to ask your questions there. But thank you very much, Dr. Dan.